Welcome back, and we hope that you enjoyed this GFF screening of Zalava. I'm Toby, one of the young selectors, and I'm joined by my colleague Taylor and director Arsalan Amiri for this special Q&A. Arsalan, thank you very much for being here and for letting us screen your film. We all loved it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You watched the film, and thank you because you enjoy film. It's my pleasure. When new generation likes this kind of film like Zalava from Middle East, I be happy, because a kind of conversation between generation and in different nations becomes, it's good. It's good. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's fantastic to get that different perspective. So I guess we've got a few questions here. So first of all, where did you get the idea for Zalava from?
Okay, the idea. Okay, I try to speak English, but when I couldn't explain myself, Ida helps me. Ida is my co-writer, is Zalava co-writer, and we work together more than 15 years. I don't know, Ida or not, or you watched his film before or not. She is one of Iranian director. And okay, the idea of Zalava, the inspiration of Zalava, because when I was I wanted to make my first feature film after 20 years writing a script for others, and I made many documentary film like as a director, and I did some editing film. I worked like an editor more than 20 years. It was the time I wanted to make my first feature film, and I searched to an idea for making a film. But I was around 40 years, and I didn't like make a ordinary film. I thought I want to, maybe I have opportunity to make only one film during my life. It's better I make one who I like it. One of my grandfathers had captured a demon. Do you believe it? One of my grandfathers captured a demon. It's strange. This strange story, I heard this strange story when I was child many times. My aunt, my uncles, this story. Okay, we had one of my grandfathers who had captured a demon, and that poor demon had to obey my grandfather's order, like bringing water from river and taking care of his sheep like a shepherd and do everything. This kind of demon in Islamic term, we say jinn. Jinn is a kind of Iranian Islamic demon, and in Holy Quran mentioned about this creature. Islamic believes this creature, this is one of the God's creature, but ingredient by fire, makes by fire, not by solid, like human, for example. And okay, it was strange for me. All of my family believed this kind of a strange story. I thought, how it's possible, this strange story? And my father said, okay, one of my grandfathers captured a demon. And it was the starting point for me to start writing a feature film, for writing a script for my first feature film.
Brilliant.
Because the concept of the film, the subject, it was about belief. This concept, this subject for me, it was good for start the a film, for my first feature film.
Okay. So obviously the atmosphere in Zalava is very claustrophobic, and this is helped by like the narrow planning of the space. So how was it, like, how did you find shooting in such like a claustrophobic environment?
The atmosphere, a part of this atmosphere comes from my culture, my region, my motherland, Kurdistan, and because our culture and clothes, appearance, location, everything becomes from my childhood experiences. And next one becomes from the genre I wanted to make it. I thought the belief, I want to make a film about the concept of belief. And I want to say how maybe the belief be dangerous, for maybe the belief, some dangerous belief became something, we make something like violence, maybe became some be starting point of violence, be starting point of killing and crime and some things. Some people have a strange belief and they believe this strange belief and they emphasize their belief and they have no tolerate to think about the other beliefs, and these kind of people are, I think, are dangerous. And the dangerous for me goes to like a horror film genre, and I thought, okay, I need a horror film atmosphere because I want to say something about how could be the belief, how dangerous be a strange belief. I don't know you understand what I say or not. I can explain more if you want. A part of the atmosphere comes from the genre. A part of the atmosphere of Zalava comes from my motherland, my culture as a Kurdish minority in Iran.
And parts of that, I think it originates from Arsalan's his own personality,
Yeah.
This kind of black comedy that you can maybe sense in the movie. I think it's his personality that you can watch it in the film. So it has many roots, I think.
Yeah, a part of this atmosphere comes from my character, my personality.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like a nice mix.
Exactly. Yes.
So you've mentioned a little bit about sort of how stories from like your grandfather inspired the film. So one bit of sort of symbolism in the film that I really liked was the glass jar and the idea of having a demon held in there. Was there any sort of mythologies and ideas that you drew from to kind of make these ideas sort of come alive on screen?
Yeah, that all of the story is a kind of handmade fantasy story. It's not real. It's not in our culture, this kind of ceremony. Like, this kind of ceremony you see in film, a bottle and jinn and some ceremony that the exorcists do it is not real. You watch a fantasy film with realistic approach. It means when if you talk with the Kurdish people everywhere for example, say, okay, we watched your film, we watch a kind of Kurdish film, and you have a kind of ceremony, you exorcist, and you put the jinn or demon in bottle, and they say, okay, we don't have this kind of ceremony, because this becomes from my mind. This is imagination only, but the main concept becomes from myth because it comes from mythology. We in every corner in the corner of the world, in every culture, some scary things, people scared of some scary things, something's invisible. In every country, for example, in Japan, in even Scotland, maybe in Africa, you have own demon. Every human, every culture, every minority, every nation has a kind of demon, special of and related to their culture. And the story, but I wanted to say a symbolic story that every people in different nation with different culture can observe it and can enjoy it. I didn't want to make a kind of local horror film. I want to be a kind of have some international audience, understand it.
Yeah, great. So you had some ideas from mythology, but you also managed to make them universal so that everyone could sort of feel the fear as well.
Yeah.
So obviously this was your first film in the director's chair. So what were like the biggest challenges or difficulties that you faced when creating Zalava?
Yeah, first film for everyone is difficult. This is a risky decide when some filmmaker wants to make the first long feature film, because you play with your destiny in cinema, you play with your destiny in in your life, maybe, because maybe you have only one, you can make film only, you have opportunity only make one film. Industry in cinema is very expensive, and you should think this idea, it's worth to make it or not. This kind of this kind of idea comes to my mind, and I was very worried about the destiny of film. I thought even maybe comes a day some young, for example, some young people from Scandinavia, from Japan, watch my film and talk about me. Some people like you, maybe comes a day I can talk about my film. I thought around more than 7 years about these things, and I made and rewrite the screenplay and thought I want to make an international film. For first feature film, I should start at Abbey with powerful start. I have to powerful start to make film. This kind of thinking is what was the main difficulty for film. You think every day, every month about the film, about your story. The second part was finding the money for making film, because this kind of film hasn't that much experience in Iran, like a kind of hybrid genre, a kind of horror film. We don't have this kind of film in Iranian history in cinema. We have in Iran more than 100-year story. After 4 or 5 years after France, the first feature film in Iran made. Around 100 years history in cinema we have, but we didn't have this kind of film that much. And I couldn't give some sample. I thought, okay, my story is like which film, how I can inspire by which film. چطور میتونم از یه فیلم الگو بگیرم؟
How can I be? I didn't have any good example in Iranian cinema for my first feature film, so I had to invent all the things by myself or by the Western feature films, or maybe Eastern, Japanese film. I know that Arsalan likes Japanese horror films too much, So in Iranian cinema, he didn't have any good example, to be inspired by.
And this point, it was difficult for investor to put their money in my idea. They asked me, okay, your film is same as which film in Iran? I thought, okay, no film. I don't know. It is special of me. This kind of film is, I can't say this film is same as for that film, and you can put your money in my film.
And I think it was 5 or 6 years that many Iranian producers rejected us.
Yeah, more than 10 producers reject the story. They didn't understand.
They didn't take Arsalan serious and this project serious. It was very crazy for them. What's this? What's the story? Why do you want to make this film? Who wanna watch your film? And in the end, a crazy
producer, trust me. Okay, yeah. If you emphasize your idea, you can find some crazy like yourself, and you can make your film. And I find a crazy producer, and she take risk and put their money in. But our film was very low budget, and we have many difficulties in the second and third part was the shooting and something like that. It was very difficult because with limited budget, we wanted to make a film like big production. This film was a bit big production for Iranian cinema, but our budget, it was very limited.
Well, I'm very glad it did get picked up, because I think you've got something really special there. And with any creative process, you can always have sort of a vision in your mind of what you want to make. Do you think Zalava came out how you envisioned it, or was there any differences between what you had in your head and what came out on the screen?
You mean differences between that I had in my mind then the film? Yeah, okay. I can tell you it was very same as my idea, because I thought the details for many years, and I wanted to make a film, and the producer and all of crew likes the screenplay, and all of them wants to obey on that screenplay, and we tried to make a special film that I explained to them. I can tell you now the Zalava is very, very same as the main idea that I had in around 8 years ago, and maybe a bit better.
Yeah. So I think we've got time for just one last question. So you said previously that there was a lot of Japanese horror that inspired Zalava. So was there any particular movies or other directors that really inspired Zalava?
I can tell you not, because Japanese horror film is very horror film. I scare of, when I watched the Japanese film, I didn't like to make a pure horror film. I wanted to make a hybrid film, a kind of drama, mixed with drama and horror, because I want to tell something important about belief. If I made only pure horror film, like Hollywood film or like Japanese film, the concept of film, maybe the audience couldn't understand the details of the context or subtext of film, only scare, I didn't like to make a scary film. I wanted to scare the people, feel scared, then think about the theme of film, then think about the subject. But the Kaneto Shindo, one of my favorite Japanese director, this film is a kind of mystery, not only horror. I like Kaneto Shindo, like Black Cat, like I think that one film is Island or something like that. Well, if I can tell you,
do you want to mention?
yeah, and Kurosawa, maybe Seven Samurai, The Village, and some, The Village in Seven Samurai. Inspired me because for Zalava, and find some and makes the atmosphere like Seven Samurai maybe. And Italian movie, I like Italian movie, Fellini's movie, and Taviani movie, and this guy, these kind of characters inspires me for making Zalava. An Iranian director, famous director, Abbas Kiarostami, obviously more than of Iranian new generation of filmmaker. Abbas Kiarostami is a kind of usture.
He's a myth for
us.
He's
a myth for us. We respect him, and maybe he affected my taste in cinema, affected me in cinema.
So that was a lot of great background information to your film. So we'd like to thank you both for spending time and chatting with us. We'd also like to thank our audience for not only watching the film, but spending time with us after for the Q&A. And from all of us here at Glasgow Film Festival and the Young Selectors, we hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you very much. I hope everybody has enjoyed our film. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Fantastic.